All right, now we're going to look through our worksheet of graphing the tangent and cotangent. Now let's make sure that we have the correct answers. Hopefully you checked the answer key already. Now let's go through each problem and work them out. Now, here we have y equals tan of 2 theta plus 1. First thing we want to look at is the period. The period is going to be 2 pi divided by 2, the number in front of theta, which is going to give us pi. So our points will be 0, pi over 4, pi over 2, 3 pi over 4, and 2 pi. Now we want to look at, we have a vertical shift of up 1. So up 1, and that'll give us our vertical shift. So if I draw in my line here, I'd have a line there at 1 for my vertical shift. Now, for the tangent, we're going to have our vertical asymptotes. Now, those vertical asymptotes happen at pi over 4 and 3 pi over 4. When I draw in my points, remember, my leftover points that do not have asymptotes will make my curve. I have the top half, I have the full picture, and I just have the bottom half. And that would give me my 1 period of this function for number 1. Now moving on to number 2, we have the cotangent. Now remember, the cotangent, when I graph it in, it's going to start on the left-hand side and go through the graph. Now, where's our first asymptote? Our first asymptote is going to be at the first point in the period, then every other point. Now, so let's find out what our period and our vertical shift is going to be here. Now, the number in front of theta is 1, so for our period, we'll have 2 pi divided by 1, so the period is just 2 pi. So I have 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. Now remember, we have a vertical shift where our line was here at the origin, but now it's got to go down 1, 2, and 3. So we'll have a vertical shift of down 3. Now remember, our vertical asymptotes happen at this first notch, our first point, then every other point after that. To make our graph, we take the points that are left over, place those on our midline, and draw in the shape of the cotangent. Looking at number 3, okay, we have the tangent function, so it's going to have a graph that looks like this, and we don't start at the first notch, we start at the second point or the second notch in the period. Well, we need to find out what that period is. Well, our period is going to be 2 pi divided by 1, which is going to give us 2 pi. And here we're going to have a phase shift because there's something being added or subtracted to that theta. So our phase shift is going to be negative of negative pi divided by the number in front of theta, which is 1, which is just a positive pi. So plotting my points here, I'm going to have pi, 3 pi over 2, 2 pi, 5 pi over 2, and 3 pi. Now I do have a vertical shift. I have a vertical shift up 1, so we're going to go up 1 and make our midline. Now I need to make my asymptotes, and remember it's going to start up the second point. So my second point, on my midline I put my points, and I draw in my tangent function. Going on to the last problem is cotangent. So our asymptote is at the first point. My period is going to be 2 pi divided by 1/2, which is going to give me 4 pi. And my vertical shift is going to be up 2. So graphing all of this, labeling our points will be 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and 4 pi. Vertical shift, up 1, up 2. Then drawing in our asymptotes, it starts at the first point, then every other, and then graphing in my function. And we have the answers to our first 4 problems and the worksheet.